Hello again, Glenn Walford here, and welcome to the Franchise Everything podcast, where we talk about everything and anything in franchising. And today, once again, we're at the Pack and Send headquarters in Sydney, and we're joined by Kate Fellows, who is the National Training and Development Officer. Is that correct, Kate?
Yeah, Learning and Development
Learning
Manager.
and Development, sorry, there we go, Learning and Development.
I'm kind of, I look after Australia and New Zealand as well. And
okay, because
dabble in the UK too.
So the business has got back to New Zealand. It was a license or a master there previously, wasn't it? And over the last couple of years, it's come back.
Yes. So now I'm sort of overseeing the learning and development needs of the franchise partners over there.
So do you do many trips to New Zealand, or what's...
I went last year to run some what we call our B2B fundamentals program.
Yes.
And I'll be back there later this year to run probably another round of fundamentals and also an advanced program that we've just started.
Excellent, because I know the business is growing, so that the New Zealand market's growing as well for you as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. So what the video we're doing today is something a little bit different. So we're doing what we call the 5 key things that have made Pack and Send what it is today, as the business that it is. And you obviously did a bit of digging around, did a bit of homework and everything in it. So I know the initial one you wanted to talk about was the initial and ongoing training as one of the key things. So can you tell us about that initial training and the ongoing development you have for franchise partners?
Sure. I think as a small business person myself, I've just come out of owning a small business. It's really important to recognise that our franchise partners are small business people, and the initial phase of setting up their business is all consuming. So what's really important for me in delivering training to our new franchise partners is that the face-to-face component is the most important. It's where we have to spend most of our precious time. So what we do is we have some interactive Zoom sessions, and they bookmark our week where the franchise partners come to the head office.
That initial training where they come in?
That's correct, yeah. So, and then as well as that, we have some online training that we need them to complete. And of course, they go into an existing centre with an experienced franchise partner and spend time in a centre with them as well.
I know the chat we had with Chenna this morning was saying how valuable that just week with an existing franchise partner was so great as part of his initial training.
Yeah, and they build a really strong relationship with that experienced franchise partner as well. So they're a great support for them.
Do you normally do those in a centre close to them, or doesn't it really matter necessarily?
We want the best centre that's going to deliver the best training. We try to make it convenient to them. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But the most important thing with the different formats of centres that we're starting to develop now is that if they're setting up a logistics centre, that they train in a logistics centre.
So logistics centre is with a warehouse component.
Correct,
to it,
yes.
as opposed to a retail service centre with just maybe a shop front. Is that
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So, there are additional systems they need to learn. There are, how do you organise your pallets? How do you organise the warehousing side? That, is really important from the start.
And as far as the ongoing training, so it was initial and ongoing, what sort of ongoing training is in place for the network?
So I think for anyone buying a new business, they want to know how to run their business. So the initial training is largely is all around the operations. Obviously, having customers is important, so business development and prospecting, getting out, acquiring new customers is important, especially for greenfield sites, for brand new sites. So that's compared to the ongoing training where, the way I see it, you can only stuff so much into somebody's brain in those first few weeks. So the ongoing training builds on particularly the business development side of things. It's mainly webinar based because they're out in their stores doing things. So it's either, say, another program around warehousing and logistics, B2B fundamentals are covered, as in the fundamentals they need to prospect, to pick up the phone, to try and get a customer on board.
Yep.
But that's essentially the fundamentals. So
is a lot of it needs driven as well? So a franchisee is asking for what they want, but does it differ per franchise owner, do you find?
Yes. So some come with experience. Some come with experience in domestic and international shipping, where others have got no experience whatsoever. So there are courses that I want them to complete. There's training I want them to complete after they get on board. And then obviously there are some that are more important than others, depending on where they've come from and depending on the format of their centre.
Okay. So that's that initial ongoing training. So the second thing you talk about, a key thing for that has made the Pack and Send business what it is today, is that, and you mentioned it previously before we got on camera, was that change from, or the adjustment from being just a B2B business to B2C as well, and the impact it has on relationships. So what's that all about?
It's kind of the other way around. So I guess traditionally, 30 years ago, the first Pack and Send centre opened in Parramatta, and, our first, I don't know if you heard this story, but our first ever transaction was selling a cardboard box.
No, I haven't heard that story. I have now, though. I have now.
So, yes, it's about selling a cardboard box. So, it was largely around customers coming in, approaching us. And what we know from the couriers, market, the parcel market, is that it's really just the tip of the iceberg. We're only really touching the people that know about us, the people that have come onto our website to find out because they have a need. However, that's really only half, not even probably half their potential customers.
Yeah.
There are a whole lot of businesses out there that have no idea that Pack and Send exists. So teaching them how to build relationships with the customers that they do bring on board or that do come to them is really important because there's a whole lot of choice out there. If we don't know who those key contacts are in the business, when they pick up and leave, change companies, move to another role in another business, it's very easy for them to take their business and we end up losing the business. So so building a relationship with the customers that they do get, the business customers they do get, is such an important part that some of them are doing, but a lot, I need to give them the skills and the know-how, the tools to do that.
And how do you go about doing that?
Part of it is for account management, for example. I'm running that course in a couple of weeks. It's a virtual course. It means that anybody from anywhere can come online and learn. And it's I always ensure that with the training that we deliver is that the franchise partners that are experts, that are doing it already, come and share their knowledge with those that aren't. So
hearing it from them, especially,
absolutely, yeah. So it's a combination of me giving them some theory, some discussion, drawing on what they already do, because it always makes them feel better to know that they're doing something. We just need to refine it a little bit.
Tweak it a little bit.
Exactly. Bringing in that expert knowledge as well, and then providing them with tools, very simple ones, and just showing them how to use it. And I always give them homework, whether they do it or not. It's up to them. But, it's about...
Do you chase them up and something? Do you feel like
in my dreams, I would chase up everybody. But and I do rely on our network sales and operations team to go out and do the follow-up, because once it's one thing to teach, it's another thing to actually get them to do it and change their behaviour. So that
it's a whole other level, isn't it?
that little bit of homework, that little bit of I challenge you to do this, is actually what gets the ball rolling.
Excellent. And so the third key thing we're going to talk about and cover that have made Pack and Send what it is today is that you talked to me about it earlier, about the solutions focus. So you've got a real solutions focus. Can you delve a bit deeper into that, about the solutions provided by Pack and Send and that focus on it?
Yeah, sure. And I think it also comes back to that business to business. That's where the customers are. There's way too much competition in the consumer market now to get a parcel from here to there. That's not something that we can try and compete. We do compete, but that's not where our sweet spot is. What I'm teaching everyone to do is to stop telling potential customers what we can do for them. We need to stop and we need to listen and find out what their problems are, and listen and then interpret those problems. What I call build the need. It needs to hurt. The problem needs to be really painful in order for someone to go, what, I don't want to run my business like that anymore. I want to run my business like this Pack and Send franchise partner's telling me I should run my business.
With your solutions that you can
exactly,
provide them.
Exactly. So it's very much, sales and selling techniques that I'm trying to train. And all of the different solutions that we have are brilliant, but you have to draw out the need and the desire to change and to utilize those.
Because I suppose from a customer's perspective, it can be a bit confusing. You sort of don't know what you want if you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
That solution, like you wouldn't even know it was there.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the thing. So is it understanding? So teaching a franchise partner to say what's happening in your business, what's going wrong, and saying I can solve that with this.
Yeah.
Is that the
Yeah, absolutely. And what I call pushing on their bruise. So pushing on their little bit of pain and making them realize that it's costing them time. It's potentially losing them customers. It's decreasing their customer satisfaction. It's increasing their costs, their operational costs, or it's reducing their margins, whatever it may be. We've got a solution for it, but it's about matching the problems to the solution.
And this is all in that relationship, isn't it? Building that relationship with the customer. And I think just speaking to Chenna in a previous podcast, franchise owner of Newtown, he was talking about finding things out. Don't just, because we were talking about an example of that someone says they need to have this parcel delivered and you say it's going to be in 1 to 2 days, but he likes to ask, what's it for? Why do you need it there? Where does it need to go? And that sort of stuff. Because if it only arrives in 3 days, they go, well, I needed it on day one, really, because it was required for this filming or this location, but he didn't know that because he didn't ask the question.
And I think it's a really important point that you make because, I made 2 points. First point is, you're not going to come and tell me your problem after I've said, hello, how are you?
Didn't know it was relevant either.
Exactly. Well, you need to build the relationship in order to ask those, somewhat personal questions sometimes.
Those questions that you were describing, you are being quite pointed about their business. What's failing in your business, essentially, is what you're saying to them.
Exactly.
You've actually got to have a good relationship for that.
Yeah, you've got to warm them up first.
Because it's not going to be too warm back, is it?
Exactly. And the other thing is, I think sometimes we think that we have to tell in order to educate, but by asking the right questions, you've got, potential customers go, I never thought about that. I never thought about how much that impacts my business. I never thought about how much that impacts me as a business owner, that I'm spending all this time chasing up carriers when I could be, working on my business and doing much more strategic and important things.
And that's very stressful stuff. Carrier chasing, very stressful.
Oh, yeah. It can
waste
take
of time.
It can take days.
Yeah, absolutely. So the fourth thing we want to talk about that you mentioned was we want to talk about technology. So I know Pack and Send is hugely invested in technology.
Yeah.
And I know you have a whole suite of technology solutions that you refer to. So can you talk us through some of those key parts of technology that have made you what you are today?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the most obvious one is probably our point of sale system. It's been around for much longer than I have, and it's had many iterations. But that's the backbone. It integrates with all of our partners, and so things are quick and easy for our franchise partners. Apparently, once upon a time, it was all done on forms in duplicate and triplicate, which sounds absolutely painful.
It's terrifying to think about it.
Yeah. So that's the backbone, but it is a transactional point of sale systems are very transactional. So that's always going to be the backbone. But we've built a what we call our Pack and Send Live product. That it's a bit of a DIY product for business customers. So they can effectively book and ship all of the products that they have with the press of a button through our system, and we are doing, our system's doing the most of the grunt work for them. And we're working on a sort of a bolt-on solution there so that we can help to look after any warehousing. So if we're warehousing, storing their items, that's something we can act as a warehouse for them, and that's what Pack and Send Live also does. We have a self-service, self-service instead of self-service for business, self-service for consumers, called our online self-service. So customers can go in to our website, consumers book what they want, gets picked up, they print off their own labels, the carrier picks it up and off it goes. So that's a nice budget solution for something that's fairly straightforward to send.
And they do their own packing and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And the franchise partner is working in the background to make sure those things are appropriate to send as well. They don't have dangerous goods in there, they're packed correctly. So there is an element, and the franchise partner does get the spoils from those transactions.
Yes.
And then probably for me the most exciting new system that we're about to introduce, we've been piloting it, is our customer relationship management system. So it's a CRM. But for the first time ever, our pilot stores that have been trialing it can see at a glance who their biggest customers are. We were talking earlier about building relationships.
Yeah.
They're the ones that they need to build the relationships with. So it very quickly and easily points out who their biggest customers are, who are the ones that maybe haven't transacted with them recently. It really is going to help them to focus their B2B selling efforts to the right place.
So it's going to give franchise owners a lot more visibility of what's
Absolutely. The point of sale systems are great, but they're not CRMs.
Absolutely.
So it's called Sales Speak. It's actually a parent or a sister company, I should say, of ours. And we've got another piece of technology to also help with the selling process. So when it gets to the pointy end of a customer wanting to know how much, what can I expect my shipping costs to be? What can I expect my packing costs to be? We can provide that up front in a professional way, and those rates are effectively locked in for a period of time.
Yes, and that gives small businesses that certainty.
Yeah, exactly.
Gives certainty of costs.
Correct.
Yeah, no, there's certainly a lot happening in the tech space. No surprises there in this sort of niche for sure. No surprises there.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the fifth and final thing that made Pack and Send what it is today, we're going to talk about, was this concept of Store Connect. So this Pack and Send Store Connect, because you're approaching, I think you're in excess of 150 units now, I think, across Australia and New Zealand.
Across Australia and New Zealand, yes.
That's pretty exciting for the business, I know. So what's the Store Connect concept about, and how does that work in practical terms?
Sure. So Store Connect is really essentially about our network, helping each other to get our customers' jobs done. So our franchise partners are effectively suppliers and customers of each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's an interesting way to think about it, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, exactly. So, a customer may have something that needs to go to Melbourne, to the CBD, to an event, but that event company, that event space can't actually have their thing arrive until a very specific bump in time. Now, most of our carrier partners won't deliver customer service to that level. So where Store Connect comes in is our Melbourne franchise partner, helps the original store to organise that last mile. We call it the last mile delivery. So, what time does it need to be there? How does it need to be there? Who do I need to call? Who's the contact person? What are the special instructions to get through the gate, and what's the code? Whatever that little,
all the little things that make things fall down.
It's the pointy end, right? It's the bit where you can either really impress or really disappoint.
Really blow it.
Exactly. So all of our centres help each other to finish off, or to even start off. Sometimes it's pick up every single day. And the result of that is it's essentially a stronger network. Everyone's looking out for each other. Everybody is working together to get a Pack and Send's customer's job done. So I think that it's less about Pack and Send Surrey Hills, Pack and Send Mackenzie Street, whoever it may be.
It's real collegiate,
and more
isn't it?
about the brand and representing the brand.
Real community.
Yeah, exactly. And the flow-on benefit there is that the franchise partners get to know each other. They might be organising a drop-off or a pickup, but at the same time they're like, hey, how's business been? How are you going? Have you ever sent something to Fiji? I've never had to do it before. Can you give me some pointers?
Yep.
So as well as having a real point of difference out there in the market, there's an internal benefit as well.
A real fringe benefit
of strengthening the brand and strengthening their relationships.
There aren't many franchise networks that franchise partners are working like that and relying on each other so much.
Yes.
Like that. So it's a very interesting way to make it part of the business model itself, really.
Yeah, and I was saying to you earlier that our conferences are a huge talk fest. Everyone's been helping each other out for a whole year, and it's an opportunity to get together.
They know each other on the phone.
They find common interests. It might be a business interest, might be I don't know, football.
Football.
So,
I was about to say, that was the first one I was going with.
Exactly.
Excellent. All right, that's 5 key things that have made Pack and Send what it is today. Kate, thanks so much for letting us know all those.
Oh, it's great to chat.
Thank you. That's it again for the Franchise Everything podcast. If you like this sort of content, want to see more, please like, share, subscribe, and do all that sort of stuff. And we'll catch you in the next one soon.